guys. Wade, break it down for us. We're going to talk about our favorite movies of the year 2000.
Yeah, guys, new series here. We're gonna each bring 3 of our favorite movies and give a few honorable mentions from every year. We're starting with the 2000s. This first time 2000, the year 2000, so the millennia, Y2K, as some would say. Of course, all of us were wee babes back in that day, but we have definitely came back and watched some of the
I was
classic
1
movies.
years old.
Yep. So let's just jump right in. Cam, what is your number 3 movie? Wait. Okay, here, I'll do it this way. I have shots of each movie, just like a screenshot from the movie. I don't have any title in there. So let's see if you guys know this.
But we did this separately, so nope. I don't know John's. I don't know Jacob's.
Yeah, I'm the only one that knows all of the
nice.
takes. You guys all know nothing. So here we go. Everyone will be surprised.
My number 3.
Cam's number 3.
Ooh.
What are we looking at, Cam? Break it down for us.
Memento. It's the most underrated Christopher Nolan movie. I love this movie. I've only seen this recently, like 2 years ago, probably. I love this movie. Guy Pearce is my favorite movie that he stars in. I think he's kind of an interesting actor. I don't like him in Iron Man 3, but I love this movie. He says like it gave him a bad rap and like Christopher Nolan won't hire him again, but I don't really see why. I mean, he's so good in this movie. He's lost his memory, but he's got crazy amnesia basically, and the whole movie is backwards and also out of order. So it's just like it blows my mind watching this movie by the end, because you see the end of the movie, but it makes no sense at the very beginning. But by the end, it makes sense because you've watched it all out of order and you piece together his memories because he has crazy amnesia. So yes, very good. I love this movie. Have you guys seen it?
Yeah, it's great. It sounds like some sort of crap Nolan would come up with today. Dude's been consistent since he started. This movie it holds up as well as anything he's done recently.
I haven't seen it yet.
John,
I haven't either, and it's on my list.
I know it's like everybody's like you have to watch it. I'm like, yes, I'll get to it, but I just never got to it.
it's so good. I don't even know how else to describe it, but the cinematography is really cool because I could see it being frustrating to somebody, but for me, it's not very frustrating. So,
Jacob, what did you hold up there?
Oh, this is my DVD of Memento. It
That's
actually
sick.
is supposed to be like it's Shelby Leonard's case file.
That's
yes.
cool.
And so it's got all
that.
of this information from the movie in it, kind of like a dossier.
He's trying to solve a crime in it, basically, right?
Yeah, he's trying to solve a crime, and he can't remember. So look, he has his sticky notes that he keeps and all that.
Oh,
And,
that's
so cool. Because
Yeah, this was
basically
pretty cool.
he can't
I like
remember
that.
anything, so he tattoos as much as he learns about the crime he's trying to solve, he tattoos to himself.
all of his crime stuff he's trying to figure out.
Oh.
Yeah, it's
Dang.
pretty cool. Pretty
Yeah,
cool.
I'm a
stuff.
sucker for cool physical release stuff, obviously.
And we have a sister with type 1 diabetes, and that's kind of a big thing in the movie. I won't spoil it, but it's very interesting. So very fun movie. You guys should watch it.
Cool. Yeah, and I think that was one of Jacob's honorable mentions. So yeah,
Oh, awesome.
very cool. Okay, next one. This is John's number 3.
Oh,
What the?
You guys know this movie?
No clue, John.
I didn't know this movie before he told me.
Okay.
Jake,
John,
you know
why
it?
don't you break it down for us?
All right.
John?
So this movie's called Vertical Limit.
Oh.
Jacob, have you heard of it?
You told me about it. Yeah.
It's just a movie. Like, okay, so basically, it follows these climbers, and they're like professional. They're brother and sisters, and it's been a long time since I've watched this, but like they're brothers and sisters. They help this guy. His sister. I'll just show you. I'll read you the cast first because it's got some pretty good.
I don't recognize any of these people though.
I'll read. It's got Chris O'Donnell. He's in it. Bill Paxton. Scott
Bill
Glenn.
Paxton.
and even Ben Mendelsohn is in it, which is
Oh.
weird. It's like, well, that was random.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, but it's got a pretty good cast, and so yeah, the sister, the actress named Robin Turney, she's helps Bill Paxton go up this mountain, and they fall in this like this crack or whatever. There's this accident that happens, and him and her are like stuck. And Bill Paxton's character, he's kind of like the bad guy in the movie. And then Chris O'Donnell, her brother, like, he plays the brother. He finds out what happens, and then he's like trying to go save her, and he gets the help of Scott Glenn's character, the guy who plays Stick in Daredevil.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, he's like this professional climber. He's like really like crazy good at climbing mountains, and so it's just so funny. Like, so he's just trying to save his sister, but the beginning, when it starts, it is crazy. Like, it is super like crazy, because it's like it shows like the brothers and sisters and their father climbing this mountain somewhere out west, and like this whole accident happened, like the harness breaks, and he like there's a bunch of other climbers with them, and they all like everybody starts falling. It's kind of like crazy, and like the father's like holding on, and he's like, you have to like cut the line, and like they're like, no, we can help, you can save you, and then he just pulls out a knife, and he just slowly like cuts the rope, and then that's the beginning of the movie. It's pretty crazy.
It's very
But yeah,
thriller.
It's very
action.
action.
Yeah, it sounds like an early 2000s thriller.
I love
action
those
movie.
type of
Yeah, this is
movies.
hilarious. I'm reading the plot. This is awesome.
Yeah.
Dude, we might have to have
I
a
love
movie
it.
night.
I love it. Me and my sisters would watch it all the time. We had it on VHS, and we would watch it all the time. It's such a great fun movie.
That's awesome, John.
Cool.
I like those types of movies.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, sweet. All right.
It's the type of movie you watch in like 5th grade science.
Yeah, that's pretty accurate, actually. Like, your teacher just threw it on, like, whatever.
Like, all right,
Yeah,
substitute teacher, like, watch this.
that's fun.
Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump into the next one. My number 3.
Castaway.
So, guys, this is the stellar movie. The ending to me is a little bit artsy, but up until then, it's super good. And the one scene that obviously this is about, Tom Hanks' character. He's flying somewhere, and the plane crashes onto a deserted island. Everyone dies but him, and he has to survive on the island. And yeah, it's intense in a lot of parts. The plane crash scene sticks out to me because it's crazy. It feels very real, and like the way things happen and stuff. But yeah, he's stranded on there with like boxes, because he's a FedEx flight driver or FedEx flyer guy. So it makes me think, because he has this like VHS tapes and like a volleyball, and he's like trying to survive with just that. And I'm like, shoot, could I do that if I was stranded with a bunch of random junk?
It's like Wade in his basement.
Yeah, I know. Make things work. Like, use the VHS stuff as string and everything. So yeah, overall great movie. I love when it cuts to later when he just is like a master fisherman with a spear.
That's
always
good.
pretty sick scene. But
Anyway,
anyway,
you don't like the end? I like the end where he delivers the package.
No. But I'm talking like when he's talking to like the random chick. I wasn't sure what that was about at the very end.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like he delivers the package, but then also it's rough when he goes up to his old girlfriend's or old fiance actually at that point. Mm-hmm. And she's already married because it's been like 3 years since he gets back.
And she has a daughter, right?
Yeah. Yep. So that's really rough. But really good cinema. So
he looks sick when he becomes the castaway with like the blonde hair, and he's super skinny. He actually did that, right, for the role. Like, he actually lost the weight
and grew out the hair.
It's crazy. Yeah, Tom Hanks.
Did he actually knock his tooth out too, or
I don't know about that.
No, I'm just kidding. I doubt he did that.
Yeah.
Jacob, I think this was one of your honorable mentions.
Yeah, it's an awesome movie. And one of my favorite parts is like his job with FedEx is he's like a logistics guy. He's like a troubleshooter. So that kind of shows why he's able to figure all this stuff out on the island. Mm-hmm. And
Oh, okay. I never picked up on that.
there's I just love movies about people who are competent at their jobs. And even though it's not quite his job, he's good at, fixing things and staying
Problem
alive. So
solving. Yeah.
problem
Yeah.
solving. And it's just interesting. I could watch it over and over again as things happen on the island. And yeah, it's a great movie.
Yeah, cool. Anything else?
I love it.
Yeah.
All right,
Beautiful
guys. This will be interesting. This is the only overlap we had.
Ooh.
This is Jacob's number
Oh.
3 and Cam's number 2.
Okay.
So, Jacob, why don't you go ahead since you haven't talked about a movie yet? But
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, God, what is there to say about Gladiator? I mean, it's just one of the best. It's probably the best movie we're going to talk about tonight, any of us. I have it so low on my list just because I didn't discover it until, I think, Wade, we watched it the first time together, and that must have been like COVID, pre-COVID,
Yeah.
or when we were in
Yep.
college. No, it was when we were in college. So
it was right before COVID. Yep, 2018-19.
So I didn't really discover it until that point. So that's why I just there's going to be some sentiment that are put in other movies above it. But I mean, this movie is just excellent. It's a very strong 3-act structure of, he's Maximus, he's the general of the Roman legionnaire, and Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, says, "You are going to be my successor. I don't want my son Commodus to lead Rome." Commodus can't stand that. He kills his dad, kills Maximus's family, and sends him into slavery. And then you follow his journey as he rises up and becomes a gladiator. And he's not hopeful, but then he realizes he can get to Rome, and he rallies all of these gladiators. And then the third act gets into a lot of the intrigue of Rome there, and it's just it's thrilling in its conversations, its ideas. There once was a dream that was Rome. That applies to anything. We all could be better in every regard, and who's going to be the person to fight for it? Just a lot of really great themes, awesome acting. Action is ridiculously cool. I mean, this is just a movie that's 10 out of 10 every regard.
It says so many great lines. Oh,
Yeah, yeah.
so many great lines in that movie.
It's super quotable. The
Yeah.
music, awesome.
Oh, music.
There's just, I mean, it's fantastic.
Awesome.
My favorite part is when he turns around, takes the helmet off, and it's like, he's like, "What's your name?" It's like Maximus Decimus Meridius.
Yeah.
Father to a murdered son.
Father to a murdered son.
Yeah.
Oh gosh, that makes
Dang.
me like tear up every time.
Oh, such.
And there's a lot of cool small stuff too. I mean, every
yeah.
every line is packed with subtext, and I love when they're in the arena and they're circling up. That was my chair. And they're circling up, and he's like, "Have any of you been in the army before?" And there's a couple, yeah. And then one of the gladiators, who you never really see their face, he's just like, "I served with you at Vindobona." Like, he was there at the start of the movie too, and you can just realize how many people are put on this awful journey. But how he's able to bring all these people together, and I think my favorite line, the one that it's a pretty emotional scene, and then it ends with such a cathartic laugh. Maximus is praying, and Juba, his friend, Dijon Hansu's character, comes up, and he's like, "What are you saying?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I'm praying to my wife and to my son." And he says, "I'm telling my son, blah 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 blah. I love you, blah 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 blah." And he's like, "And to my wife, none of your business." And the two, and his whole other character too is he wants to return to his family in Africa. His family's still out there. And the movie ends with him burying what is it? What does Maximus give him? He buries something.
They're like little statues.
They're little statues, right?
Yeah, wooden
Ones they
statues,
were
like his
using when they were
wife and
praying.
his kids. Yeah.
And he buries that in the arena, and then I think Juba gets to go and gets a chance to find his family.
That needed to be the sequel.
I get
Yeah,
goosebumps
about him,
thinking
that would have been awesome.
ending.
Yeah. Now, I loved the sequel. Don't get me started on it. I know some people weren't fans, but but it doesn't hold a candle to this one. This one's great movie.
Yeah.
So, Cam, why is it your number 2, Cam?
Here's the thing. I'm not like the biggest Russell Crowe fan, but every time he knocks it out of the park for me. And I'm like not the biggest
such a great
fan
actor.
of him.
Like he
like what the heck? Like the scene where he finds his wife and kid hung, and he's like crying, and he's got like snot bubbles, and he's like screaming. I'm like, the acting is
It
insane,
does.
so good.
Hmm.
I just Russell Crowe knocks it out of the park.
Yeah.
Jeez.
Jacob,
John.
what you were saying about like the small little details. I love that the scene in the beginning when he's like on the battlefield, and then he just sees the bird, and like you don't see you don't see anything like around him. You just see him, and then he just sees the bird, and it's just like this blue bird, and then it flies away, and then he's like smiling, and then he like comes back to reality. So he's like, all right, I gotta fight, and I gotta fight a battle, and it shows like the aftermath, like all around him.
Tells you a lot about his character too. That
Yeah.
he's about to fight a bloody battle. He's about to
Mhm.
command it. He's about to send
Yeah.
thousands of, maybe just 1,000 people to their deaths,
Mhm.
and yet he appreciates life and he knows the value of life and what's
Yeah.
beautiful. You can get all that just from
Yeah,
you're right. That
there's
little
so many
scene.
things. Yeah, like take that his character in Commodus who like ravels, like loves like blood and gore and
Mhm.
war, and like Maximus who's like the direct opposite. He's like he serves Rome, but he's like doesn't want to. Like he'll do what he needs to be done, but he's not like I love this job. He wants to get back home and farm.
Yeah,
Yeah. There's so
Yeah.
you could talk about this movie
Yeah.
for hours. But
it's so good. The action's insane. Jake, is this your favorite Ridley Scott movie?
No,
No?
it's not.
Could I ask what that is?
The Martian.
Oh,
yeah.
okay.
Yeah.
that's a
Agreed,
good one.
agreed,
I
agreed.
did.
For
I
me,
think his
this-
Mount Rushmore is Alien, Blade Runner, Gladiator, The Martian.
Mhm.
I think that's
Nice.
him on all 4 cylinders, hitting different things.
You don't like Napoleon?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen it either. But yeah,
Okay.
wait, it's a good one.
Anything else about Gladiator? All right. Here is John's number 2.
What the?
Cam, guess what? Just guess. Try to guess what it is.
I don't even know what this is.
I didn't either, Cam. I'd
what are
never
these
heard it.
guys
I've
doing?
heard of this movie, but I don't know anything about it.
It's
Jacob,
like
do
a
you know?
Navy
I haven't
movie.
seen it. No.
All right, John, go ahead.
All right, so this movie it's U571, and
Oh, I've heard of it. Yeah.
so yeah, I think I've told you about it. I'm like I was like trying to get you and Morgan to watch it with me, but you guys didn't
Yeah.
want to watch it. So,
Yeah.
but I was like, it's so good. I love it. It's a submarine movie, and it takes place during World War II, and it's also Bill Paxton's in it as well. So 2 movies with Bill Paxton.
2 for 2 for you, John. Bill
Yes.
Paxton.
Bill Paxton. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey, his character, he's a like second in command, and Bill Paxton is like the captain, and so they go on the secret mission to take to capture a German U-boat and capture their this device. It's like a typewriter, but the Germans use it to communicate with like Germany and other U-boats, and it's like encrypted, and so they're trying to steal it, and so they end up capturing the U-boat, and then their submarine gets destroyed, and so it's just like Matthew McConaughey and then like a few other guys, and Bill Paxton dies in it, but
Whoa.
yeah, so
Spoilers.
spoiler.
Just like real life.
Cam, you didn't want to watch it, so you snooze, you lose.
Yeah,
It's been
Cam,
out
it sounds
25
like you
years
had-
at this point.
You had the
Sorry.
opportunity to watch.
I gave you opportunity, but yeah, and it's just
You were
it's like-
given time. You were given orders.
but it's
Oh.
just it's a good. I just like submarine movies because it's like what like kind of like just what life was like on a submarine, and like how difficult it was, and but I also like it as well because with Matthew McConaughey, he's a young guy. He wants to be a captain of his own boat, and Bill Paxton's like denies his orders in the beginning, and he's like, "You're not ready." And then like later in the film, like a few scenes later, he's like asked Matthew McConaughey's character asks him like, why'd you deny me like this opportunity? Like, and Bill Paxton's like, he's like, you don't have it in you. He's like, are you willing to sacrifice these guys when it comes down to it? He's like, you have to make calls that are going to get people killed, and you can't second guess your decisions. So it's like it kind of shows you like what in a leadership position what these guys have to do, especially during World War II and how difficult it was. So that's why.
Yeah. John, your description sounds like it's right up your alley. Historical.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
Like action.
That's such a Johnny
Yeah.
John
Yeah.
movie.
Mhm.
Something I've never heard of that looks really awesome. Military.
Also, I was telling Wade,
Yeah.
John Bon Jovi is in it as well.
He's living on a prayer in the U-boat.
It's so random. You're like, whoa, John Bon Jovi? He's
That
in
is
it for a
really
little
random.
bit.
I didn't even
That
know
is
he did any
extremely
movies like
random.
that.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Cool.
I like it.
All right, let's move on. My number 2.
Oh,
Yes.
we know what that is. The
Dude,
That's a
Grinch.
good one.
I couldn't not leave this. I had to put this in my top 3 here. This is How the Grinch Stole Christmas live action with Jim Carrey.
Oh,
As you guys know, Jim Carrey, iconic comedy legend of the 90s and the 2000s. He's still around doing Sonic, but other than that, this is one of the standouts to me. His face is just rubber, and he does some of the funniest lines and the funniest faces. But him as the Grinch, yeah, I watched this a lot as kids. Cam was scared of it, actually. That beginning
it is terrifying.
scene, it's not that terrifying. That beginning scene where the kids are coming up on the mountain or whatever, and he's like wearing that weird mask. But
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, and it's heartwarming and Christmas, of course.
Ron Howard directed.
Ron Howard directed. Yep. Yeah. So I mean, to me, it's a great comedy. It's fun. Jim Carrey is great, and yeah, I felt like I needed to put it up there. So
Jim
Right.
Carrey's performance in this movie is ridiculously good, especially for all the costuming that he's under.
Yeah.
His
Yeah,
expressions are unreal.
and if you look up like how much of it was like improvised, you'd be blown away. Like some of the scenes, you're
Sure,
like, "Are
yeah.
you
Oh, yeah.
serious? He improvised that?" Like one of them is the table pull when he was supposed to. No, wait, he was supposed to. Yeah, he was supposed to pull the table and everything fall, the tablecloth and all the stuff on the table come tumbling.
Yeah.
But he pulled it and it completely like swiped it with all the stuff stayed on. So he
And then
ran
he
back and
knocks it
like,
off.
Turned around, yeah.
knocked it all down as like improv. So he's a comedy legend and genius. So
Yeah. Yeah, I love that movie now. It's so good. So funny. They knock it out of the park. I mean, Jim Carrey's hilarious. How does he contort his face that way with so much prosthetics on? I will
don't know,
never
dude.
understand that. The way
I have
he
no idea.
contorts his smile and everything, it gets like
that's why I say
it's-
he's got a rubber face. Like he does the craziest faces. But yeah, it's so funny,
yeah.
Yeah, this movie has
What's-
grown on me a lot over time too. Obviously, I watched it as a kid, and it wasn't my favorite as a kid. But past
Mhm.
couple of Christmases, I've ended up watching it and just died laughing every time. And I'm like, why have I not been watching this
Yeah.
every
The
year?
amount
you
of
know?
secret adult jokes,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous, especially in this movie.
Jury Dewey, Jury Dewey, Jury Dewey.
That's so true.
The one
Okay.
thing where he's like, children so desensitized by television and movies and video
Yeah.
games. So good.
Oh man,
good.
dude.
She's
It's
like,
so
I'm
funny.
not scared of you.
Oh, I love it. All right, let's move on. Jacob's number 2.
What?
Ooh.
I was not expecting that.
Big twist.
I was,
All right,
Yeah,
yeah.
this
I don't-
was a big twist.
I don't know if you guys know this, but I love Scooby Doo. It was one of my favorite shows when I was a kid. So this is Scooby Doo and the Alien Invaders. This would have been the third of the fourth Mook animation direct to video Scooby Doo movies that they made.
You know a lot. That's funny.
I know my favorite one growing up was Scooby Doo and the Cyber Chase. That was
That one was good.
That was a good one. That was their
That
fourth.
was a good
That was the last Mook Studios one. The first one is the most well-known, Scooby Doo on Zombie Island. I mean, that's regarded as the crown jewel of anything Scooby Doo. I mean, that's
Yep.
That one's actually scary too.
that subverted a lot, and that was the first time that all four of these movies that Mook did. Zombie Island, The Witch's Ghost, Alien Invaders from 2000, and then the Cyber Chase the year after were focused on real monsters that actually existed. So it kind of flipped the script of the show on its head a little bit, but it still had much of the voice cast and production teams of the shows, at least from the 80s and 90s. Anyways, yeah, I mean the movies. This I loved this movie as a kid because the aesthetic. It takes place in Nevada, or I guess it just really the American Southwest, and there's I don't think they ever explicitly say Area 51. I haven't seen it in years, and I really need to rewatch it. But it takes place in the American Southwest, and a small town. The mystery machine breaks down, and Shaggy and Scooby are abducted by aliens, and of course nobody believes. Yeah, right.
Yeah,
of course
they are. They're always the ones.
and so there's this whole mystery about this small town and these government agents that work in this lab in this hidden base, and the aliens aren't exactly what you think they are. That you find out. Have you guys seen this movie?
I've seen this.
No, I haven't seen.
Okay, well, there you go.
Maybe I can't remember.
It's been a very long time.
Yeah, well,
Jake, is this the one where they hitchhike with like a beautiful woman, but she turns out to be an alien?
that's it. Yep. Well, yeah.
Yes, I have seen this. I've seen this.
Oh, that's funny.
And her dog. Yeah. And so that's great because that character is actually a great foil for Shaggy. And poor Shaggy, always is the butt of the joke and doesn't have much story. And this movie is his. I mean, it is so good. And yeah, there's a lot of great movies from the year 2000. And I was looking down the list, and I think my honorable mentions list was probably ridiculously long, just because there's a lot of sweet movies. But this one meant something to me because I grew up watching it, and it's really cool. And I love these four movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. 2001's a loaded year. I don't know if Cyber Chase is going to sneak in my top 3, but this was a perfect time to highlight it a bit. So I'm a really big fan of these 4 Scooby-Doo movies from the late 90s and early 2000s. And this one, I also thought that jackalopes were real because of this movie. A little well, actually, here, check this out. Yeah, a little rabbit with horns.
Oh, nice.
You can see that. They're in the movie and they're like, zoinks, that's a jackalope. And I thought they were real
Zoinks!
for a long time.
That's funny.
Like high school long.
Wow, yikes.
Yeah.
Nostalgia always can play into your movie picks,
Mhm.
I love this movie too, Jake, growing up.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
Can bring you back in the good old days and all that kind of stuff. So.
Speaking of, they just came out with a Blu-ray of it for the first time ever, and it's sitting in my wish list. Maybe I'm just going to go add that right now to my cart.
Yeah. Nostalgia will do it. You can't put a price on nostalgia.
Yeah, you can. I think the Blu-ray is like $17.
Oh, well, it's a small price to pay. Okay, guys. Now we're on to our number 1, but first we must do some honorable mentions. And guys, I went a little crazy. We're gonna pop it up here. It's gonna be more than just our honorable mentions. I'm kind of gonna give a quick overview of 2000 for our viewers as well. But the each person who has an honorable mention, it'll be popped up on the screen. Okay. So we're gonna start with Disney animated original films. And if you don't see one on here, it might appear later. But anyway, so the Tigger movie, an extremely goofy movie, Buzz Lightyear of Star Command, The Little Mermaid 2, and Dinosaur. And Buzz Lightyear of Star Command is one of my honorable mentions here. I don't know if you guys remember this, but this was such a good movie.
I do. I had it on VHS.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, dude. And what's interesting is Pixar didn't release a movie this year, except for they counted this because this is technically an offshoot of Buzz Lightyear. So this is the only one that Pixar worked on with them, but they obviously didn't do their normal animation style. But yeah, this was a great adventure kids movie. You know, I love space and that kind of stuff as a kid. So yeah, that's my honorable mention for that.
Love that one. You dive into the lore of the Star Command. I was so into that. I thought the new Buzz Lightyear movie was gonna do that, but no. Yeah,
didn't need it, but definitely loved it. So yeah, and then we have Jacob here, honorable mention for Dinosaur. Jacob.
That movie's just crazy. Have you guys seen Dinosaur?
Yes. Oh yeah.
I love Dinosaur. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Dude, yeah.
What else can I say? It's Dinosaur. If you haven't seen it, you probably won't like it.
I just watched it like a month ago.
For the first time. Does it hold up, Cam? Does it hold up?
It does not hold up. But
dang.
But dude, I was getting weird like childhood nostalgia, like deja vu watching it.
You remember the
so weird because I probably watched it when I was way too young, like to even like comprehend.
Probably watched it at my house. I had it on VHS.
I probably watched it with you, John. Like the monkeys jumping in the tree. It's basically monkeys mixed with dinosaurs.
Yeah, Apitium. The Apitium monkeys. Yep.
I know what you're talking about. I watched it with Sarah like a year ago, and when they press into the ground and the water comes out, I literally felt like I was 4 again. Like he's
Wow.
I
great.
was like, oh,
Yeah.
that water looks so
That's so
good.
true.
You're
Yeah,
all
I
that
was
water
like,
looks so good.
I'm thirsty
Dang, dude.
thinking about it.
All right. Next, DreamWorks did have 2 animated films come out: The Road to
2?
El Dorado and Chicken Run. Both came out in the year 2000.
Chicken
And
Run's a
John,
good one.
Yeah, and John, one of your honorable mentions is El Dorado.
El Dorado. Oh yeah, I watched that movie a lot when I was younger. I don't know why I loved it. I mean, it's kind of there's a lot of adult like stuff in it.
Yes.
I remember, and it's just like there's one scene, but I'm not gonna touch on it. But yeah, there's a lot.
I know what you're talking about.
Yeah. But I just loved watching it because I loved in the music. There's some music in it I enjoyed.
El Dorado.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But
I
yeah,
just watched it recently. I think you need nostalgia to like it, to be honest. But yeah, it's just like two dudes going to the city of gold. I mean, what more could? Yeah. So we'll move on to the next. Animated TV movies. So guys, of course, the WB. I know we got some fans of the WB in here, but Batman Beyond, Return of the Joker, Pokemon the movie 2000, and Tweety's High Flying Adventure. Nothing crazy there. And then Fox Kids put out Digimon to kind of,
I did not watch
to kind of compete with Pokemon, but it did not do well. So
Batman Beyond, that's so good. I love that.
I love that one.
Turns out one of the Robins has become Joker, so that was a crazy twist as a little kid.
It's kind of dark, like talking about capturing Robin and like Joker torturing
implanting like a Joker chip into his brain.
Yeah.
To make him become the next Joker, basically.
Yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah.
Love that one. The other ones I haven't seen, Wade.
Okay. Yeah, I was going to ask Jacob about Pokemon, but I think he's having some issues, so we'll see him in a minute. Okay, he's back. Hold on.
Back just in time. Pokemon the movie 2000.
I knew it. I knew you wanted to talk about it. I was like,
that
I had to
movie
wait.
is awesome. I don't know how I missed that. And honestly, 2000's in the title, and I'm really stupid for not even thinking of it as a 2000 movie. But yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
It's a sweet movie.
Sweet.
I was a Digimon fan too. So
were you? Okay.
Really?
How's it compared to Pokemon?
Digital Monsters. It was, I don't know, it was cool. I probably haven't watched it in 22 or 3 years. So
Gotcha. Okay, weird. All right. Next, Nickelodeon did have 2 movies: Rugrats in Paris, the movie, and Snow Day, featuring Chevy Chase. I have not seen either of these. Have you guys?
Nope.
Yeah, these are kind of like the low end ones. All right, we'll move on. Thomas and the Magic Railroad. Of course, Thomas the Train. Were you guys Thomas heads or?
I had a bunch of Thomas. I had a whole train set. And my mom made me give it away to a poorer kid. I didn't play with him anymore. And now I think I'd like to have him. So thanks, Mom. Allegedly, this is the first movie I ever saw in a theater.
Oh,
allegedly. Obviously, I have no memory of it, and I haven't seen it since. But apparently, that's an important thing in my life. So
my wife loves this movie. She made me keep the VHS, even though I was trying to get rid of it because it's worth a little money. But anyway,
that is so funny.
Universal did have some movies: 2 American Tail movies, and then Alvin and the Chipmunks Meet the Wolfman.
I remember that one.
Cam and I have some nostalgia for this. We used to watch it with our aunt and uncle every Halloween. Actually,
yeah,
it was like one of their favorites. So
this coming on TV all the time during Halloween season. Just they would have this. I forget what channel it was, but they would just have it on. Watching it.
Yeah, I rewatched it recently. It does not hold up, but the music is still bop. It's a bop. So.
Like it, love it.
Gotta have
Sports movies of the year 2000.
Ooh.
We got Replacements with Keanu Reeves, Bring It On, and Remember the Titans. Now, here's the problem. John has made all three of these his honorable mention, and we're a little sus about Bring It On. John, please enlighten us.
What is Bring It On?
You never heard of it?
Is that a cheerleader movie, John?
It's a cheerleading movie. It's a cheerleading competition movie. It is a very 2000s movie, like a 2000s
Jail.
high school.
Straight to jail, John. Straight to jail.
High school. All right. The reason why I put this on here is because my sisters loved it, and I would have to watch it with them all the time. So
That makes sense.
Oh, you'd have to watch it with
I'd
them.
have to.
Oh, I have
But
to watch Bring It
I'd
On.
have
again.
to. Yeah. Yeah. It's I'm not going to say anything else. But yeah.
Well,
but-
John, what
okay,
about the
it's funny.
replacements? I've never seen it.
Okay, Replacements. It's about this this pro football team, and all of them, like all the players, go on strike, and so they get all these replacement players.
Oh,
And Keanu Reeves, he's like a big college football star or something, but he's like a diver now, so he doesn't play football anymore. And so the team, Gene Hackman, I guess, wants him to play for him, and so it's just for like one game, I think. And so they get him, and he's like supposed to be like this, he does really well. But the funny thing is, in real life, Keanu Reeves, they actually filmed it at the Baltimore Ravens stadium, and they had some Baltimore Ravens coaches there, and they're watching Keanu Reeves play, and they're like, this guy's got talent. Like he plays
They
really
wanted to
like
recruit
his
Keanu
footwork
Reeves.
was like really well. Like his footwork was really
Right.
good. He could throw the ball, and they were like, they wanted him to try out for the Baltimore Ravens, but like it couldn't happen because he had another movie he had to do. But like
wow,
he was
that's
like
funny.
that
So
good.
he
They
could've
were
been
like,
he
this
could've been a
guy's
pro
got
football
talent. We
player.
want him to see how well he would play. Yeah, it's crazy.
Keanu's secretly an athlete. Like I just read an article that he was in a street hockey league for 10 years with the same people for 10 years.
That's crazy.
It's like, what the heck? Like in his mid-20s. 20s
That's
or
funny.
30s.
Hey, Cam, talk about Remember the Titans.
I love this movie. I watched this recently. I was on a missions trip and I had it downloaded on my iPad because I just was like, I need to download some movies because I might be bored. And I was crying watching this movie. I didn't watch it since I was a little kid. And I was like, what the heck?
Dude, so
Denzel is-
inspirational, man.
Oh, man.
Denzel is the true GOAT. And yeah.
He is. He's like a really good coach. He's really strict because he kind of have to prove himself a little bit, you know. And it's obviously about desegregation, and so it's just a powerful story about. It doesn't really matter. Like your team is your team, you know. Like your brothers, get over it, you know. Like this is stupid. I just thought, you know, so good. I love how I think it is kind of weird though. It's like these people were so terrible before, and by the end they're really great. Everybody's great, but it's like they were still really bad, like really awful at the beginning of the movie, like super racist, you know. So it's like it is kind of interesting. I don't know how I feel about that, but people can change, obviously, you know.
Yeah, definitely. John, any thoughts on Remember the Titans before we move on?
I just, great. I watched that movie a lot when I was younger. I loved it. I love just, I don't know. Yeah, the just like how the black players and white players like come together to like, all right, we're a team. We have to like work together, and like they become friends. And there's so many actors in that movie. Like,
Yeah.
there's a lot. Like
Ryan Gosling.
Ryan Gosling,
Yeah.
yeah, he's in it. And so,
He was a liability.
yeah.
Yeah, John. So we can forgive you for choosing Bring It On because you
Bring It
chose
On,
Remember the Titan as well.
If you ever watch Bring It On, it's so funny because it's like coming out of the 90s and going to the early 2000s, and just the fashion and all the technology. It's just like so weird watching it now. You're like, wow, I forgot this was the thing back in the day. They're like,
That's funny.
old cell phones, or they're listening to something, the clothes they're wearing. It's just funny.
Yeah, nice. All right, let's move on. Days of 2000. So you got a couple movies featuring days. We got Next Friday, Snow Day, 28 Days, The Sixth Day, and 13 days.
I noticed this, Wade, when I was looking through all of them. I was like, what the heck? There's so many days.
That's really weird.
28 days later.
It was kind of a funny little trope that they did in the 2000.
I haven't seen any of these.
I haven't seen any of them either.
I think I've heard of any of these.
Haven't even heard of any of these.
I've heard
Six
of the
Day looks
6
like
Day.
an Arnold
That's it.
Arnold movie, Schwarzenegger. But anyway,
Cool. That's funny.
all right. Last few honorable mentions here from us. John, Snatch.
Yeah, it's a Guy Ritchie movie. It's got Brad Pitt, Jason Statham. I can't remember who else is in it, but it's like one of Guy Ritchie's like earlier movies. But it's a really good movie. It just follows like this Brad Pitt. He's like he's a part of he's like a gypsy, and Jason Statham, he's like a I forget what his title is or whatever he does. He's like not gangster, but he's kind of like they work, with like, not nice people, and so it follows them working together and trying to like get money or something. But it's a good movie.
Cool.
Wade and I watched that together because it was on
Yeah.
my poster. We had
Yeah.
both of us had a hard time following it. It's very well put together, and it is cool to see Jason Statham really taking something seriously.
Yeah.
But boy, I think we should have watched that with subtitles. Half the time I was like, I kind of don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was rough.
Yeah, I definitely
But
recommend
the fighting was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was awesome.
Cool. Jacob, talk about your two. We got American Psycho and Unbreakable.
Yeah, American Psycho is a genius parody and send up of consumerism and kind of that like what would you call it, like yuppie culture, all these guys who think they're all that, and it's mixed with elements of horror and kind of slasher. It's literally a parody movie, but it's quite violent at times. I won't really recommend it to you unless you read an entire content breakdown. It's not an easy watch, but boy, it does a good job of doing what it does, to the point where at the end of the movie the guy calls in and says, "Hey, I'm a murderer. I need to be arrested." And they're like, "Oh, aren't you that investment banker?" Haha, that's hilarious. He can't even turn himself in because nobody believes he would be capable of it. It's just from start to finish a comedy of errors.
There's so many memes out of this movie.
And there's so many memes that come out of this movie.
Oh my gosh.
Christian Bale is Christian Bale is fantastic too. Just tearing into people that are like that. I'm sure you've seen the scene where they all compare their business cards. These people are ridiculous, but the idea that one of them could have been an insane murderer is just insane. Anyways, yeah, and then Unbreakable, M. Night Shyamalan movie, old school M. Night, so he had some cred with this one. I think this was actually coming off The Sixth Sense. Anyways, yeah, it's this guy survives a train crash. It's like 600 people die, and he survives without a broken bone. And well, that's him. He's unbreakable, so he decides to become a superhero. And his kind of mentor, kind of friend is this guy. That's Bruce Willis's character. Sam Jackson plays this guy. He knows Mr. Glass. I think he owns like a comic book store. And his bones are so fragile that he breaks them just by, if he bumps into a wall, he'll dislocate his shoulder. If he grabs a glass of water too hard, he'll break his fingers. And Mr. Glass might not be as innocent as things seem. And
Love
so
that movie.
Yeah, this movie's
Cam,
awesome.
I thought you liked that movie. Yeah.
Yep. It's like how do you describe it? It's like, it's not a parody, but it's
a bit of a send up of comic book tropes.
Of comic book movies.
Yeah.
It's like a commentary on comic book movies. Yeah.
Well, and this was before most comic book movies. It's almost a commentary on comic books themselves.
Yes, and comic books. Yep. Just like origins and like what happens to a superhero character. It's very cool. I like it.
Cool. I have something to say about it. I'll say it in a bit though. All right, next. These are the last few final quick mentions. I think they're kind of funny. We got Sporto's pick, Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon. The father Sporto. He is a kung fu kung fu head for sure. He loves his
those.
Crouching Tiger, Hidden Dragon is one of his favorites. And then my wife, she looked at this list real quick and said Miss Congeniality was her favorite.
That's a good one.
So,
Mhm.
all right,
That's a
guys,
good one.
before the next slide here, what do you think the top 5 grossing from 2000 were?
I want to say, is it Gladiators one of them?
John's probably right. I'd imagine the Grinch might be up there too.
Yeah.
Although that might have been the end of the year around Christmas when it came out, so maybe it didn't get that
I
much.
don't know.
What else?
All right,
Oh my
here we go. Ready?
Yeah.
Here are the top 5. How the Grinch Stole Christmas was number 1, making 260 million.
Oh.
Then
Wow.
number 2 was Castaway, making 233 million. Mission Impossible 2, which is
Oh,
actually
yeah.
the worst of the franchise,
Yep.
made 215
All right,
million. And then Gladiator made 187 million. And finally, What Women Want, featuring Mel Gibson, made 182 million. So yeah, it's kind of funny because it's like people went and saw Mission Impossible because the first one, but it's kind of the worst of the franchise.
Elijah
But they
might
came back.
disagree with you.
Would he really? Okay,
Yeah, he loves that one.
interesting. Okay, guys,
That's cool.
yeah, let's move on. We are in our number 1 favorite movies from the year 2000. Cam, why don't you start us off?
I love this freaking movie. X-Men. Okay. No matter what you say about it, it's not comic accurate. I don't care. I love this movie since I was a little kid. My dad came home from Hollywood Video
Yep.
when they were selling all their DVDs because they were going bankrupt, obviously. He brought this home. He bought all 3 of the X-Men. We binged them.
Sweet.
I loved this movie. Patrick Stewart's introduced. Hugh Jackman, the best Wolverine, the only Wolverine. There's only one Wolverine. I love this movie with Magneto kind of using Rogue as his like foil for the plot, kind of turning all humans into mutants. Love it. Action's good. It's super cheesy. It's the lines are weird. Like,
Lines are rough sometimes.
what happens to Toads in that gets struck by lightning? The same thing as everything else. Halle Berry. But I like this movie. A whole franchise, like 20 plus years of movies based off this movie, succeeding.
Yeah,
Love it.
I was gonna say it's kind of crazy because isn't Unbreakable the start of a trilogy of superhero movies? Kinda.
Yeah.
So it's like two superhero franchises came out started in 2000.
Yep. Very cool. Love. Any of you guys like this? This was not on anybody else's list.
No, but I still liked it. I mean, I still remember watching it and enjoying it.
This movie gets a lot of credit, deserves a lot of credit for what it started. And the visual things introduced in this movie, like Cerebro and the X Mansion, are obviously based on comics and cartoons, but they're still used today in live action. But the best part about this movie is that you get to watch X2 after.
X2.
So good.
That's true.
Yeah.
Where I'm sure we're going to be talking about that in a couple episodes.
Mhm.
I'm sure we will. Yeah.
Ah,
Cool.
good,
All
Wade.
right.
I like it.
Yeah, it's a good one. All right, Jacob. Number 1 of the year 2000.
This is Oh Brother, Where Art Thou? This is a Coen Brothers film. The Coen Brothers are some of my favorite filmmakers. All of their movies dabble in Americana, and they're quirky, but pretty deeply human too. This movie is a retelling of the Odyssey, set in Prohibition era or Depression era South. The main character, Ulysses, which is another translation's name for Odysseus. He was wrongly convicted and jailed, and he's at the beginning of the movie. He escaped from a chain gang with these 2 kind of buffoons on his side, attached to him by chain. And it retells in the Odyssey, Odysseus tries to go home. He tries to return to Crete to see his wife. And his wife has suitors there, and he's trying to get home to his wife before she gets remarried. And along the way, he encounters a menacing person with an eye patch, Cyclops. three women singing down by a creek who lure them to sleep, sirens, and all sorts of other things that are lifted from the Odyssey, just put in Depression era, the South of America. The soundtrack is a folk soundtrack, compiled mostly for the movie. There's not a lot of an original score. It uses a lot of real folk, except for one song which was written for the movie, which was awesome, and which in the movie is sung by George Clooney's character, but is really performed by a famous folk star. I can't remember the name, but it is
Man
funny.
of Constant Sorrow.
Yeah, Man of Constant
Oh,
Sorrow.
that's a good song.
It's funny to see George Clooney start singing, and then this real old timey folks
It's so good.
voice comes out of him. But
Yeah.
yeah, this movie is just great. It's a lot of fun. There's some pretty poignant moments. There's some actual laugh out loud moments. And like all Coen Brothers movies, it's weird. And I love that. So
That's where I was going with it.
bonkers,
I did
it's
watch
weird,
it
it's
with
fun.
Jacob. Enjoyed some parts, but other parts I was like, what the? So
yeah, they certainly get in some misadventures. They end up at like a KKK rally, and there's a flood. It takes some inspiration from like flood myths too, which is kind of funny. The whole thing is just these myths, these epic stories, and just putting them in such a weird time. It's a lot of fun. Oh, there's an oracle at the beginning and the end too. Just like in the Odyssey. Just a lot of fun stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be a great double feature with Christopher Nolan's Odyssey one day.
the Odyssey doubles.
Yeah.
That's funny.
Yeah, that's
All right.
I'm sorry, Warren. I always see that movie on like AMC, and then like I never like actually like sit down and watch it from like the start. I just watch a few scenes, then I had to like turn the channel for some reason. I need to watch it and just say I watched it.
Mhm.
I love that movie. I think it's funny. It is weird as heck. Like to try to
Yeah.
explain it, you can't. It's
Yeah.
bonkers.
Yeah.
But it does kind of. It is the Odyssey, so I do like that. It's cool.
Neat. All right. My number one. The Emperor's New Groove. Of course, this was left off the Disney list because I was going to talk about it here as my number one.
Love it.
Good choice.
Guys,
Good choice.
this was a great childhood classic. If it makes me feel good to be glad I grew up at the time I did to be able to watch this. Yeah, but it's about a hateable emperor who obviously gets turned into a llama by accident and goes on a journey to become a better llama and a better man. And yeah, I got some classic stuff in here. Yzma and Kronk, of course. The part that always sticks out is Kronk like doing like his like where he's like running across, but it's like yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the good angel and bad angel on his shoulder. Yeah.
I love that he's like a Boy Scout too. Right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yep. He's like knows how to talk to the squirrel. Squeaker.
I love it. This movie's so
The
good.
comedy is unmatched. I love the song at the beginning and the simplicity of like the village, and he of course, spoilers, he ends up becoming a better emperor because of Pacha, his friend here. So yeah, it's a timeless Disney classic.
I love the
And I'll
beginning,
always
right?
love
It's
it.
the beginning where he's like, look at me, I'm so sad.
You probably want
Like,
to.
he's like,
Oh,
he
yeah.
circles himself. He's like, that's me.
That's
You
me.
would think
Back
that's
to me in a minute. Yeah.
And,
Who's
like,
it?
the
Is it
jaguars
David
are about to
Spade?
eat him. Yeah.
Yeah, it's David Spade.
Yeah, David Spade. Yeah.
Mhm.
So
This
John
movie
Goodman, right?
holds up. This is a tightly written movie. The screenplay is fantastic. It's funny. All the characters have a pretty clear arc that they go through. And it's
yeah. I couldn't not put it at my top. So
Mhm.
all right. Anything else before we go to the last one of the night, which actually was both Jacob and Cam's honorable mention as well as John's number one.
The Patriot.
I
Dude.
knew this would be John's number one, and that's
Yeah.
what I was saying. I was like, if we're doing honorable mentions, I was like, let's not talk about him. I don't want to steal.
John
some
is
of the
America incarnate.
thunder.
I love the Patriot. Oh, just such. You know what? Mel Gibson does such a great job in this movie. Heath Ledger, like I don't know where to begin. Like I love the just American Revolution, just the whole story, and although this movie, I know a lot of history, I remember at Liberty, a lot of history professors hated this movie because how historically inaccurate it was. But I'm like, I don't care. Like, I still love it. But yeah, I love just his whole story, like him, like coming up, like he doesn't want to be a part, like he believes in the states becoming independent, but like doesn't want to fight the war. But then he gets gets caught in it, and he loses his son, gets killed, and then he just goes on the bloody rampage, and that scene when he finally all right, I'm gonna kill all these British soldiers, and then he just starts he brings his 2 kids, and he's like, all right, come with me, we gotta go kill these British soldiers, and then he just goes at it, and it's so great, and he's they call him the Ghost, and yeah, and then I just love the just him in the swamp, because this is based off a real American general, Marion Francis, I think they called him the Swamp Fox, and I think that's his name. I gotta make sure it's right. Francis Marion, and in the American Revolutionary War, he was a general, and he fought in kind of in the southern, South Carolina, Georgia, and was did a lot of guerrilla warfare, and so this is kind of what it's based off of. But yeah, and just the great, he had some great lines in it. I love the end, the scene at the end, when at the end of the battle he's wounded, and the British colonel's about to kill him, and he's like kill me before the war is over, and he's like, it seems you're not the better man, and then right before he makes the killing blow, he dodges it, sticks him with a bayonet, and he's like, you're right, my sons were better men. And I love that line.
Oh, so good.
It's so good because spoiler alert,
Jason
if
Isaacs,
anybody hasn't
right?
watched it. What?
Jason Isaacs, yeah.
It's Jason Isaacs, right?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah,
but
I love that. I love him. Malfoy,
Yeah.
right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he does a great job as the villain. But yeah, it's up there.
It's pretty
I
epic.
I always have to watch it during near 4th of July. I have to watch it all the time. But yeah.
So I haven't seen it. I'm probably the only one.
What?
Yeah, no, I've never. But that picture alone and kind of your description does make me want to. So
So good, Wade.
You have to watch it. We should watch it.
yeah, definitely.
It'll get you fired up,
Yeah.
especially if you're locked in a church.
Oh no.
Gosh.
I don't get it, but all right, guys. Any final thoughts?
2000 was fun. This is a fun year.
Yeah, it was.
It's a
It was
funny-
better at first. My first glance, I was like, "Ooh, there's not very many." But then second glance was like, "Okay, there's actually a lot."
Oh,
So,
actually, there's quite a few. Yeah.
yeah, it's shocking how many movies come out in a year, but yeah, it's a 2000. Good job, guys.
Yeah, and I really like talking about our movies from the 2000s. That was really fun.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys like that
2001.
idea.
It's gonna be cool to do 2001 all the way up, baby.
Yep, first
All the way.
10 episodes will be 2000 to 2009.